Hey, you guys. It is Ali. I am checking to see if I am broadcasting, trying to be broadcasting. While we're recording, if it's not broadcasting, I will play it later. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to my channel, which is Where's Ali? I am Ali. If you didn't already know, my channel is about my walk from regular life to living a nomadic life and trying to build like lives, nomadic circles along the way. Um, from my perspective, for people who look like me, but you don't have to look like me, but it's going to be from my perspective. And So today I actually want to, this is kind of a follow-up if you guys caught the live I did yesterday with my friend Joy, and it was on beliefs that uh, could be holding you back. And one area that we ended up kind of building the foundation of that part series video was around the belief that if you work hard, you will all your dreams will come true. You know, you'll make it, right? So I want to follow up on that. Some things that, because it was such a broad point or belief that it spanned into so many things, but I kind of want to reel us back around and mention a few things around that for today, which in today's topic is, can you exit using investments, right? And so my answer is yes. But before we get into it, if you guys haven't already and you enjoy this type of content, it's talk with travel. So everything that I'm talking about is usually related to something that I've experienced or dealt with. Travel isn't just, bright skies, beautiful water, hiking in mountains and all of that. It's real life stuff too. And to get to this point, I had to walk through real life things. And I think to ignore the path and the decisions that I had to make and things that propelled me along the way that I didn't even know, which some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, to ignore those things is kind of irresponsible almost, because it paints this picture that it's so glorious and everything is so perfect, and it's not. You literally have to really make some tough decisions around what you're doing, why you're doing it. And so that's what I want to, really be sharing with you guys. So along with the cute videos and places that I've traveled to and where I'm going and all that, I also want to be able to share with you um, some of the thought process in getting there and invite people on who have stories that they are willing to share with you as well. Because even if the end result looks good, sometimes the road to get there, the less traveled road, is not always easy. So I'm going to start with what seems to be a quote that is following me around, um, that I really live by. Like, this is one of those thought process things. It's not easy at all. Like, I work on this every single day, but that is, it is okay to be afraid to let go of the things that no longer serve you. Just don't get stuck in the fear. Don't get caught up in the fear, right? And never actually move forward. So it is okay to be afraid, to let go of the things. And I added in that no longer serve you, because a lot of times that's what we can't let go of, because we realize, God, this is not exactly what I need and what I want, but I don't know how to release it without feeling bad, without upsetting someone, because those things that we need to let go may not just be possessions, it may be people, right? And so I think, I'm going to probably start every video with that, just as a friendly reminder. All right, y'all, so let's get into it. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already. I think I was going there. I don't know if I actually went. Subscribe button, like, and share if you like this content and these types of videos and more things that I'm going to be sending out to you guys. Let me know that in the comments that if you've got questions or ideas or things that you want to hear about, or if you just want to say hi, I would love to hear from you. I got my regulars that always pop on, but I know there are other people that have been watching my videos and stuff like that, and I would love to hear from you guys. Quickie, I will also mention this at the end, part two of our conversation from yesterday, well, Sunday, October 17th, because it might not be yesterday anymore when you guys see this video, from October 17th with Joy about the beliefs could be holding you back. We will be doing part two follow up on Sunday, October 23rd at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And in that, we're actually going to talk to you, share with you some of the things that, ways that we let our beliefs hold us back. And a lot of times, oftentimes, we don't even notice those things until, you know, we're stuck in the mud. Okay. So that's going to be part two next Sunday, October 23rd, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, y'all. So yesterday we got into this whole thing about working harder. And, um, and that being like a belief of a way of life. We're always so just work hard, you'll get there, work hard, you'll get there, work hard, you'll get there. And I'm gonna tell you something that I had to come to accept, and I actually hear a lot of investors talk this way, which is what I'm gonna say next, which is you I hate to say can't or never. The likelihood of you being financially set um, is less if all you're doing is simply working every day. Like you won't have wealth simply from working a job every day unless somehow you got an employer that's paying you, I don't know, 75,000 an hour. I don't know. But even still, the key is make an investment, right? Um, Learning how to take and make investments. And so the topic today is, can you exit? Can you leave wherever country, but I'll speak from my perspective from the United States, using investments? And the answer is absolutely yes. The reason that this becomes a question, or kind of like I don't know, is because oftentimes we don't know um, what to invest in. We don't know who to trust. We don't know where to go, how to do things, right? Um, because what we're not told in this whole myriad of what you need to do and how your success needs to look is that you do need to invest, and there's ways to do that. There's real estate, there's insurance, there's stocks, the infamous stocks. Because what do? Our boogeyman has always told us, well, the people who are in the stock market don't look like us. Yeah, but they're the ones who are wealthy. So while we can be angry at the situations that we've been put in, we can also learn from the people who are making the money that don't, whether they look like us or not, right? And so I'm just gonna keep it real, right? Because that is one of the things that holds us back. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I can trust them or not because of this, that, and the other. And so that's when we have to do our due diligence, right? So when I say investment, I mentioned real estate, stock markets, insurance policies, and why some of these things are so critical, especially in the Black community, right? So anything outside of a brick and mortar seems to get kind of shunned, and we're often told, well, when you gonna get a real job, because in our mind it's been placed that, first of all, we fought so hard to get here. Why would you now not want a job after you've gone to college or after you've done all of these things? Why do you not want what we've worked so hard for? What Martin Luther King, died for, and Malcolm X, and Harriet Tubman, all these other people. All these people really fought for us to get to a point where we could have an equal piece of the pie and be able to make it like everybody else is making it. But what they don't tell us is these people who are making it, they're not making it from going to a 9 to 5 every day, right? A lot of times people are like, we don't really know about 401ks. Like you get into a job now and they push the 401k, but they also don't really explain it. And so if you don't come from a background of investors where it says, okay, take that first 10, $15 that you have. I understand you already broke, but you probably spending 10 to $15 on some BS. Probably. I probably guarantee you that you probably are. Even if you're struggling, you got a kid and all this, this baby formula I'm buying, and I'm looking at you like simple things like the extra snacks that you're buying each day. Not to say that you can't have any, but if you're not willing to sacrifice and be frugal, then yeah, no, you're not going to have the money to invest. And I'm going to share a little tip with you that worked for me. It's a mindset kind of thing that you have to start preparing yourself for. And I am by no means a good investor. I didn't make I made good decisions, but I wasn't of the investment mentality. And I wish at 50 years old, for the amount of time that I have been in corporate America, which is 27 years, and I have worked since I was 12, so add 10 years on to that, right? So 27 years in corporate America, and I never really understood the investment thing. But what happened is because I was living that my life and trying to make sure that I was set and I didn't have to rely on other people, is I made decisions that assisted me that ended up being investments, right? And so I'm definitely going to share just ideally what some of those things are with you. And I'm hoping that this type of discussion um, opens up the door for the way that we might want to start walking into, our lives, walking into um, just the thought process. Hey, Sandra, how are you? Hey, Lawrence, what's up? Glad to see that you did what we were talking about in Cuba. Proud of you. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Couple things. First of all, if you're on my page, please go and follow Lack to Legacy. From Lack to Legacy, I'm sorry, that's her YouTube channel. Sandra's a friend, and she is a excellent resource for investing. I'm going to be talking about it from the haphazard way that I ended up being investing and being able to utilize that for my exit. But she is going to be talking about the planning, how you actually prepare and do it the right way. And that's where I'm going towards. So I actually watch her channel to get resources, listen to how she's doing it, how others that she's following are doing it, and really starting to invest that time. If you guys can see my TV, it's actually on YouTube, and those are investment channels. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, but you know what? You got to start somewhere, right? And then also, how nice it actually is to hear sometimes when people remember you at one point you were talking about you're leaving, you're this, you're going to be, and I don't even necessarily remember all these conversations, but it's obviously something that has lived and walked with me. Another friend that I've had for 15, 20 years, she commented that on a post. She was like, you used to say this when, my son was still in high school, which was 15 years ago, you know, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And she remembers those conversations. And that's that whole, if you believe, if it's really something, if it is truly your purpose, even without you knowing it, you probably talk about something regularly. That is who you are and what you do naturally and what it is that makes you happy and drives you. That's where your pursuit should actually be, right? But we ain't gonna get into that today. I'm gonna try to keep this one short and not make a whole diatribe about it, okay? But thank you guys for tuning in. So back to this whole idea and this mindset that we have, especially in the Black community or just a class community, when we're in a lower class setting, we all always think that we don't have enough money for this, we don't have enough money for that. And one of the things that I think I learned, my son was 2. So this is 28 years ago, but I never exercised it, but I see it more now, and I pull out my hair because I'm like, God, we don't have the functioning groups for this. But this community thing, right? Where we are very used to do it on your own, do it yourself, right? And so we don't think of, okay, so I have this household, I can't necessarily afford everything. So we're going to fix all of our mindset and we're going to live together, right? Many other communities do this. And we shun and laugh at, our families when we got specifically men, or, but, anybody over the age of 20, don't let them be 25, 26, 27, don't let them be 30 living in the same house with their parents. But if you look at wealthy people, what do you see? More times than not, wealthy families live together in their family homes. They may have multiple homes, but they all living together. They got that house. You go upstairs. But we did see this. We did see some of that on the Cosby Show just a little bit when the kids would come back trying to figure out life. But we did see it on Fresh Prince of Bel Air, right? We did see that whole, the house is open, the house is, and but we didn't get it enough. We didn't get a message enough, and we have not really been pushed into the dynamic of, even though I think collectively, if we go back to true heritage, we've always lived in villages, we've always worked together, we've always been communal. That's why when you go to places that still have village setups like in Honduras, and you go to some of the, like, they still, the Garifuna people still have a specific village, and they still literally live like they did from day one. They still have their communal setting, and they have huts where they sleep in, but everything else is out in the open. Think about that, like, right? Anyway, I'm not trying to get into all that, but that's part of my travel, and experiences, and that's one of the reasons why I travel, is because sometimes you need to actually get out in the world to see what really grabs your heart and your soul. It may not be the possessions that you're trying to achieve back in the States. It may actually be the cultural experience, and what actually gives you life. And traveling, you can start to figure those things out, right? Okay, so um, when we think about what we've been told identifies or confirms your level of success, a brick and mortar job, uh, labor intensive job, a job where you are checking in every day, you're being graded by what you doing, how you doing it, who's judging you, how many people are you training under you, how much volunteer work are you doing, and you ain't getting paid for it, because the more that you sign up for, the upstairs folks, they see you, they see, trust me, how you think I moved up, because I was always available, always this, always that, but I was a good worker as well. I was a good worker. I was a hard worker. But that job that I worked, yes, it helped me put aside money. And this is where I'm going to go with it. Is oftentimes we praise people when they get the job. Hey, Veronica. Um, we praise people when they get a job, right? We praise them. They get that degree, of course, because you don't put in some time for that degree. We praise them if they get into college. We praise them if they get that job. We praise them if they buy that house, right? We praise them. But that's it. They start a business or they decide to be an entrepreneur or be creative. God forbid you be creative, because ain't no money in that. Ain't no money in that. Even if you want to be, an athlete, most athletes are never going to actually get to the pro stage. So how do they? That doesn't mean that they're not talented. How do they then make money? Start investing in themselves. And I can go around the board with all different kinds of things. The wheel that they show you in high school where you're supposed to pick what it is that you want to do, but they don't tell you about all those little other things that actually match your skill set. But because you're stuck, because you're told from junior high, pick a career. Why do we do that? We don't allow for growth. We don't allow for exploration, right? And so one of the things that I like to really share is while we're praising people for college acceptance and getting jobs in corporate America and buying those houses, let's also remember to praise or suggest that, hey, don't lose yourself while you're doing this. Hey, remember that, yeah, while you're making this cash, start investing in yourself. Sometimes that's making connections, one of the things that we don't do very well. Veronica says, hey, traveling really helps you to see and understand the world on another level. Say it 1,449 times, Veronica. 1,000,000%. Like the things that I'm ready to give up, mentality sets that I am working to give up, whew, all came from my traveling, especially this last 2 years because I've been slow traveling. But anyway, one of the things that we, especially in the brown and black communities, don't really hear a lot about is personal investment, connecting. So when you send your kid to college, we're sending them for a piece of paper rather than saying, "Hey, make sure you get to know," because you work you in class with the president's daughter. You're uh, volunteering or doing lab work with the dean's son or whatever, and it's not so that you can go and ask for a favor, but it's to start building these connections. And as you just become a fly on the wall, which is not really a fly on the wall, it's invited to be a part of these things that we don't consider normal, but how everybody else is actually successful. When you're invited to these arenas and things like that, you can actually just sit and listen. And you go, okay, so wait a minute, y'all got an 8 hour job, which is translates to 10 or 11 hours, but you're saying you make all your money from how? So you Okay, so this pay some of the bills, but that's not how you're gonna have wealth. That's not what you're gonna retire from. You got a family because they tell us, we gotta have a house, the kids, the babies, all this stuff. How are you in our world, in a regular class level person's world? My shoulders are off lopsided. I need a massage. In our world, how do we work every day, even with two incomes, and make money to set our kids up, right? In brown and black communities, we work just enough, working hard because that's where we get, so that our kids can try to take care of us. But in wealthy families, what do wealthy families do? They work hard, but they invest harder, right? So that their kids never have to. And then what happens? Now we have these class system levels and we hate each other. You ain't done a lick of work in your life. Well, we need to be learning this. We need to learn it. Um, just came back from self-investment opportunity. It was unreal. I met oh wow, nice. Les is still in the game, I see. Yes, I am. I'm out here trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents the easy way. Put the dollar in, make that 15 cent, multiply that over and over, like that penny a day thing. Anyway, give me my million up front day one. Y'all can take that 30 days because I ain't promised tomorrow. So anyway, but learning how to praise people for doing the non-traditional thing. And along with that, say, okay, when you go to college, make those connections. When you buy that house or whatever, maybe you do get the bigger house. I remember people would ask me all the time, it was just me and my son, and I would always have like a 3 bedroom or something. But it afforded me the ability to assist other people when they needed a place to stay. Not like I was even thinking about that, but it just happened that way, right? And so um, if I was thinking right, what it should have been, it shouldn't have been like a charity house. That's one of the things that we've been taught is you don't ever charge nobody, just do it, be a good Samaritan. But that's not necessarily true. Everybody needs to pull their weight. And that's something that I feel like as American people or black, I don't know, we just don't learn that. I got my first hit of that 28 years ago when my son was going to daycare, and the daycare owner was um, uh, from India. I believe she was from India. I don't want to mess it up, but let's just say India. Awesome, awesome people. Best daycare. I happened to walk up on. Thank God that I just found this place when I ended up moving to Chicagoland area. And she explained to me why she chose to share this. I don't know, but they had bought this house, and at that time, it was the only house on this in this whole lot area in Schaumburg, Illinois, and it was literally the only one standing. But it was, she said, I believe it was herself and two other families. It was a pretty big house, two or three other families. And what they did at that time, the house was like 250 to, it was like two mid 200s, so 250, $275,000. The goal was to buy the house with the four families, everybody chipping in, pay off that house in 3 to 4 years, less than if possible. And then take all the extra money. So you got these buckets, right? We got the people chipping in on the mortgage, paying it off sooner. Then we got the people that we got everybody also chipping in. So now we got that investment dollar for the next one. Then we're chipping in, what they used to call gifting circles, right? And so then they would have the income because there's four families working. You got your kids and stuff, but everybody is functioning and doing their part in the family. And then they would take the next investment pot and buy the next house, right? And then buy another house and buy another house. Now, what they could do with the first house, paying attention to the market, which is this thing that we learn if you're listening, is buy low. And if you go to other countries, you actually see this. You see a lot of plots they're not taken care of, unattended, overgrown, all of this, but they're fenced in lots. And people buy this land and just sit on it. Go on YouTube and just start Googling, investment land, but you don't build on it. And in 10 years, 15 years, which goes by like a hot cake, they turn and they flip that $50,000 investment, $100,000 investment. And just like we just had an inflation in the US where people who never would see returns like they did walked away with huge chunks of money to be able to do different things with, right? So you turn a $50,000, $100,000 investment into a $200,000 return in 15 years. Where else are you going to get a return like that? Right? And so this is what she was explaining to me back 28 years ago, right? And I never got an opportunity to live that, but I did end up buying two properties, one in Chicago, and I ended up buying a property in Texas. But I never got that, people live with you and assist with, let's pay this off and be done. And bam, now we got something. We're going to take this money. We just never got that. But that's where I'm going because I'm only 50. I'm only halfway through life. And I'm pretty much slated I'm going to live till I'm 109. That's, I'm talking to the Lord about it. I'm just playing out. Anyway. And so starting to think about what are other ways that we can make money because you're going to work hard because you need the job to pay the everyday bills. But I'm going to tell you something else that works as well is live below your means. And I know everybody hears that. And I know everybody wants to get on and say, okay, well, how can I make quick money? How can I make easy money? How can I? Because let me tell y'all something. I don't want a job. I just want to make money. Like I've worked for 38 years. I'm not working now. I mean, technically, I'm not working an official job. But I don't want a job. And I understand I'm gonna have to do some things because I got to get on track and I got to start bringing in income, right? But I am looking for the less non-conventional, less traveled or roads newly traveled to look at different ways to create revenue, right? And so getting us to think about that work harder. There's a part two to that we're never told, and that is work hard, put that money aside, live below your means. Because again, like I said, most people want that quick and easy. And I'm looking on here like, okay, how do I get these, 1,000 in dividends a month? Because I'll be good with 1,000 dividends. Yeah, you got $300,000 to invest because that's how much it's gonna take for you. Well, if I got $300,000 to anyway, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to put something into it. And so if you're putting something in, if you're going to this job every day, this is not your passion, this is not your purpose, but you in it, you doing it for 30 something years like I did, or even more so, then at least make sure that you are taking a piece of that pie for yourself. And we're not taught that. We're not taught that. And I'm going to tell you one other thing that traveling does. Thank you, Veronica. One thing that travel does is it puts you on a plane if you fly. It puts you on a plane, and the very first thing they tell you, well, not the first thing, but part of the thing before they even take off, as they backing that plane out, going around the runway, one of the safety things that they tell you on every flight, I don't care what kind of flight well, okay, some of them little ones, they don't really tell you this, but on the flights, when you're flying, from place to place, the one thing you'll always hear is put your mask on first. And I'm gonna tell you, the first time I heard that, I was like, correlation that that has to life. And it's something that we are not taught. We are not taught to take care of ourselves first. First, we're not taught, even from a religious standpoint, we're taught take the first 10% and put it over in the church, right? Not take 10% and give it to yourself because that's selfish. No, it's not, right? Somebody said something along these lines, and this has stuck with me, is when you hear somebody say, my cup runneth over, right? Because what's in my cup is for me. The runneth over is for you. That's after my cup is full, right? And so I'm like literally in a space of, who let us reset all of these this bad advice or partial advice, because it's not necessarily bad advice. We're only getting a part of it. Like how we're taught, what we were talking about yesterday is how we're taught certain parts of the Bible, but the parts of the Bible we're taught are only the parts that are negative and condemnation. Say, oh, and by the way that you can be successful, the way that you can come ahead, the way that you can feel good about yourself is boom, 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 love, all this other stuff, right? And so that's kind of where I want to go with this. Okay, so one of the things I want to kind of make clear is all income is volatile and nothing is guaranteed. So even in your job, like a lot of people are like, man, I ain't got time for no investment, man. I ain't put my money in there and I could lose it. Okay, I get it. I understand that. But every day we basically go to a job. And for the longest, many of us, I mean, I was at my last job for 19 years. They weren't going to fire me. You know, I had to quit because I was literally like, could y'all fire me? No, because then they got to pay out severance. I got nothing. I got nothing for walking away. I almost lost a month worth of vacation. And then I was like, no, we're going to change my quit date, my end date. We're going to extend it since I'm going to lose everything and I get nothing, lose all my health benefits and all that stuff as well. And all they offering still to this day is Cobra in the United States. I'm tell you a whole segment. We're gonna do a whole segment on healthcare, lies they told about healthcare in other countries, and why we have this mindset that the place that has some of the worst healthcare, most out of price healthcare, we still think the United States is the best. You know, we're gonna break all of these myths because some of this is some BS, okay? But just so you understand that your job can fire you, your job can lay you off, or you simply have a stunted growth. So if you're not already thinking, okay, this is how much I make, um, what do I need to do to put some money aside for us? You know how they, back in the day, I think women used to be told, always save a little bit for yourself, hide it in that garden. You know, you don't ever go in the garden, dig that up, put your money to the side so you have some walk away money when things don't go as you need, or you need to, it's time for you to bounce, or whatever. Because we know what happened back in the day. A lot of times things wasn't right, right? In the way that you start to circumvent a lot of these things, is start to think the way that wealthy people think. It's hard to do that because you're not living it, right? All you're thinking about is, okay, we got to make the money to live, to eat, to whatever. Yeah, but how many times are we making money to eat, to live, to do whatever, but we're also buying tons of possessions? One statistic I heard, for 2022 about, houses and, sizes of houses are astronomical. Just an average house is 2,400 square feet, which doesn't seem like that big. My house wasn't that big, but it was one of the biggest ones in the neighborhood I was in. But and I bought it because it was the same price as the one that was 600 square feet smaller. Like sometimes you just gotta use common sense, right? And it benefited me in the end. But people are wanting larger spaces, more storage. But one of the other things that they mentioned in this story was a statistic that storage facilities have increased, not because people are exiting and, putting stuff in storage like, I got stuff I need to, keep some of my keepsakes. No, because people, even with these bigger houses, 2,400, 4,000, 5,000 square feet, are maxed out and still need storage space because we are living for possessions, right? And that's going to be one of the things that comes up, in the conversation next week, the follow up of what do some of these beliefs, some of these things. So we're told you got to have certain, you got to look a certain way, you got to have certain things. You open your garage, you need to have this, then you need your generator over there, you need your power what you need, you need to have that BMW C series, D series, F, whatever the hell, I don't know, right? That you got to have all of these things in order for your status to be a certain level. And that's great. But just make sure that your cup is full. Make sure that you don't need externally to have anything poured into you to survive, that your family, your kids, so on and so forth don't need, because you're covered, right? And on top of that covering, you got the extra. You got the extra to buy the next level series vehicle, two of them if you want to put the picket fence, 8 foot picket fence up with the electric. You have all of that to do that, but you're also taken care of so that you don't need a GoFundMe if something goes wrong, right? And I think that's where we have been steered incompletely, right? So we're only told a portion of it because the portion that we're told, which is the work harder, benefits who? You guys are gonna hear me say this all the time. Who does it benefit? And it's not to say, oh, this is so wrong or that. It's just ask the question. Get yourself to think. For in everything that you walk through, when you're at an interview or you're doing whatever, when you're sitting and saying, okay, this sounds good, sit back and ask yourself, who does this benefit? Okay, if I do this, who does this do? What am I in it for? I know people who used to go and get jobs and quit every 2 to 3 years. I just listened to somebody who was like, they started working and quitting their job every year, and they turned having no extra money into having $99,000, I think, in a year or two or something like that, from, well, not a year to, I think it was 5 years or something, from quitting and going to the next job. And it was because what we find out is we stay in a company, we're loyal to a company, they're hiring people making 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 more than us, but we're training them, but we can't get a raise, right? You're tired of hearing those things, and you're still sitting in it, and you don't, and you feel you're locked in. That means your cup isn't full. That means you didn't fill your cup, you didn't put your mask on first. But it's never too late. Trust me, I'm 50, it's never too late. So let me share some of the accidental ways that it wasn't accidental, it was intentional, because I mean, I set my money aside to do these things. um uh I know a lot of people don't like um the what are they, I don't even know the not name for them anymore, but the investment, school investment, dollars that you put your money into, and then your kid goes to school for the amount that it costs for, when you start investing. What are those? 590, 585, 360? I don't even remember. But basically, that's something that I did because I didn't, have a college fund, and I didn't have this money to do whatever. But I started with $34 a month. We're already scrapping and stuff to get by. So I wanted to make sure my son had the money that he needed to go to school. Right. Because I was like, why everybody else can do this? And that's why you see a lot of times when you would look at wealthy people and they got on Jordache, and okay, Jordache used to be expensive back in the day. So let's say Wrangler, they had on Wrangler jeans and lumberjack shirts and tank tops and t-shirts and stuff. They not walking around wearing name brand stuff. And it's one of the reasons why I don't really wear name brand unless I get it from a thrift store. And that's just because it happened to be something that fits really nice, right? And good quality, if that, right? 529. Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. The 529 plan. I knew it was called something. And I had one. I don't remember what it was. But I don't wear name brands because they're not paying me to wear their brand, right? So why would I promote something that's not paying me? All it's doing is making me spend money. And one of the things that I wish I would have done is for all the money that you spend. So like are if you an Amazonian like myself, and I don't mean by, powerful women, I mean on the website buying stuff. If you are like me, invest in Amazon. I don't care if you hate the company or not. Please invest in them because you're spending all your money there. It's one of the things I told my son a long time ago, was he loved Nikes and iPhone products and stuff. Invest. When he was working, make an investment. Not sure if he ever did because he's grown. He lives his own life now. But it's something that I share with my kids all the time. And I say, You guys take a couple dollars, take a couple of dollars. You're still young. You are still young. 20 years from now, little investments here and there, doing your 401k at your jobs when you're at good companies and stuff like that, brick and mortars that are going to last forever, that have been around forever. There are certain companies that ain't going nowhere. Kraft, Pepsi, Coke, I don't use none of that stuff. But what difference does it make? They're making money. Like, this is when we have to put aside that, well, I'm so against, the propaganda and all that. Yeah, well, we all are, but guess what? You still got your money in Chase and Bank of America. What difference does it make, right? So make some money off of the systems that, you have to use at some point. You go into Exxon getting gas, Shell, whoever, It's the same thing, y'all. And we don't even know no more. You be trying to buy some cheap chips, some off brand, name brand, or whatever. You don't know they still owned by Pepsi. They still owned by Kraft, right? And so it's like, unless you are completely going to unplug and remove yourself, and then you can't even go to another country and break free. You walk in the store, it's Frito Lays, it's Doritos, it's everything. There's KFC. So if you remember that saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And I understand a lot of people are like, but it's against my moral fiber. I get you. I feel you. If that's how you feel, then trust me, this ain't for you. But what I am saying is if you're going to be engrossed in it, make money from it. If it's something that you're doing on a regular, these are things I wish I would have been kind of told or seen in my nucleus of people and stuff. And that's why they say the circle around you. If you're the smartest person in the room forever, every time you turn around, you're the only person doing certain things, you're probably in the wrong room. And it just means that you've outgrown the room that you're in. It doesn't mean that you can't reach back and assist somebody, but that can't be your permanent space. You have to get in spaces where you are literally like this. What? And that's where what I have experienced the last couple of years, specifically the beginning of this year, is being in the presence of people who talk in different language, but they speak in English, right? And you're just like, so really, this is what we should have been doing. So, accidental investments, buying homes without the intent of selling to make, an inflation profit. But what is one thing that we know? And this whole thing of um, what we were talking about yesterday, learn helplessness, waiting for something to dig you out, to save you from something else, right? This is that my politicians have my best interest. And so I'm not going to study. I'm not going to take the time to do 5-10 minutes a day to read up or listen to things that could be enhancing or just giving me some insight to things, right? So we don't even realize that every 15 to 20 years, what do we have? When was our last inflation recession? So it happens over and over again. Otherwise, people wouldn't be making money, right? People make money because the system ebb and flows, ebb and flows. And as soon as it ebbs, as soon as it boom, everybody gonna get in and get some stuff, right? No different than everybody was in this market for the last 2 years trying to buy up every investment company was trying to buy up every single house because they understand what's happening, especially in certain areas, right? Okay, so that is one thing. I know some people who ended up buying a house, moved into a house with a family. That's what they were planning on do 3 years ago. This market hit. They looked at each other. This is a story he told me. Basically, it was like me and my wife looked at each other and were like, we could literally sell this house and have basically been paid to rent it for 3 years. And they walked away with 6 figures. What they said, there's, even we're working and working every day, running their own business stuff. We said, we would never see this amount of profit in 3 years. And not never, but they hadn't seen that in 3 years, right? And so now they've changed their focus from, being home improvement business to a flip. They're looking at doing real estate flips because it's a quicker turn, right? May not be the greatest time right now to do it as the market is like, we're hitting that recession kind of plateau, but it's going to be great to get some things and then it's always going to pick itself up because one of the things that we do know is wealthy people is never going to go broke. They're not going to go broke. Okay. Insurance policies, I know a lot of people don't necessarily like them, but it was one of the things that I got, I started in 94. Um, and I ended up getting three policies and different types of policies, not really understanding everything, but I held them through term, like 15, almost 30 years for one of them, well, whatever. Yeah, I can't even remember, but they had matured. And that little $15 that was going in every month, or $25 or $36 that was going in every month since 1994, which is what, 20, 30 years ago. So this is when I was 25, 30 years old, you know, all that little, I can't even see it, throw it to the side. That money that was going in turns into a rainy day fund. you know Now, if you decrease your living expense, that eight, nine, $10,000 policy that you close out with no penalty because it's matured, if you've got a handle on your expenses, 'cause I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to make a whole nother video about this, about the truth about what it really costs to live, right? And this is something that when you start to live abroad, you could spend just as much money, if not more money, in the state that you do in the States. But if you're smart, you try to keep your bottom line as low as possible, right? So we're going to do the truth about that and what you could be doing, and then like what you could be doing with the rest of that money. Okay, so um, real estate investment was accidental. 529 plans wasn't accidental, but it ends up putting money away. And if you look at 20 years of that sitting in there at 3.6% interest every year, because even though that's really low, actually it was 8.64%, because ultimately it was money that wasn't being lost or wasn't being utilized. And if I calculated what the value of that plan was, because when my son started college from when I started the plan, you look at the difference. And so we're paying $2, just use an example, we're paying $2 for something where now it costs 100, but he's getting the same education. These are things that we don't know about, right? So I'm telling you, there's lots of information out there. There's lots of ways to do things, and we don't have to one up somebody financially. We don't have to show that we spending more money to be successful. Unless you got it like that, you just want to be out there. That's why all these videos have this stuff, and they make you think that that's what you want to be doing. No, you don't have to do that to be successful. You don't have to do that to survive. You don't have to do that to take care of your family, unless you got it. I mean, if you got it, come and do it over here in my living room. I will pick it all up. It's not a problem, right? I do receive. Um, so those are some of the things that what did I say? The investments, the insurance, the anything that can give you a high yield, a high return, um, with very little extra. Like, you're not necessarily doing anything extra to achieve those things, right? Because not everybody is ready to get into um, landlord ownership or responsibilities and things like that, but there's ways around it. And one of the things that I would suggest is taking the time to spend some time learning a skill, learning about something outside of what you're doing every day. Let's see. So one of the things I'm going to share, this is going to be my last thing. I have been promising to do a financial diet toolkit for the longest. And I think what I'm going, because part of going through this process was that as well, and learning to pay off debt and all of that. And as I was saying earlier, one of the things that we have to understand is in the process of saying, how do I make more money? We also have to learn how to save money. We also have to learn how to be a little bit more diligent with our money, even though people don't tell me I can't spend money, right? But if you make enough to spend however you want and do whatever, do that, because we need to have luxuries and live life too. But if you're not, you can't keep crying every time you out spending all your money, and then you ain't got money when opportunities present themselves. But look for keep me honest, y'all. Look for my pay off 24,000 in a year toolkit, and I think I'm going to do it like a video style. I have it like together. I just haven't decided how I'm going to present it. And it'll be something that is going to be menial cost. I mean, like real menial, if not free, for you guys to just see how to take $24,000 in debt with a job, single parent. I still was a single parent by myself. My son was in high school in every sport, spending all my money. Every time I turned around, it was buy something, buy equipment, buy some new cleats, buy new, you know, golf clubs, little things like that. Investing in golf clubs for my son, but investing in the $300 golf clubs at that point in time because they were lifetime replacement. So every time he choked up on that head, on that club, and he hit it and he broke it, his coaches would take his clubs back to the place because they just knew they would take his clubs and the next day they'd have a club for him, or when he walked in, if they had one, they have a club for him. To this day, my son still has those clubs. Lifetime. If he walked in somewhere that still has those, he can get those replaced. So a little bit of that's an investment because now I don't have to repay. I don't have to go and buy anything. Yeah, if he wants something, he wants some Titleist or something like that. Boom. I don't even know what the name of these were, but he had some good clubs. And then what we also did when he was in high school, I made him go get a job at the golf course. You know how expensive golfing is? Just practice. The hell. Mm-mm. He went and got a job at the golf course, right? So we got to just be smarter about the things that we're doing, and that falls in line with take the money that you're spending, invest in those companies that you're spending your money. If you buy Wonder Bread, please go on the ticker and get some Wonder Bread. Been around for 400 years. Wonder Bread ain't going nowhere. It don't matter how much people like you shouldn't eat that Wonder Bread. It's got all kinds of preserve. It don't matter. Somebody eating it. I don't even know if they still sell Wonder Bread. They probably got wheat bread now. I don't know. Probably got Hawaiian buns. I don't know. Whatever. Just go and check. That's also I'm looking forward to. Yes, Veronica, keep me honest. Make sure tag me every day and be like, girl, you did you finish that? Did you finish the toolkit? Because I've been talking about it actually probably for like 9 years. Okay, not 9, it's 7 since I've been in Dallas. I've been writing this booklets and I just never have. And then this year I was like, I'm gonna get it done, but I had to take care of some business. So anyway, I say all of that to say put your money in places. So if you end up with extra money, I don't care if it's $20. If you end up with $20, start finding places to put that $20. It literally will add up for a rainy day. And if that rainy day comes and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take off. Now I got 2,000 sitting over here. Doesn't seem like a lot, does it? Doesn't seem like a lot until you need to pay for it. Let me tell you what $2,000, I'm going to give you an example, what $2,000 can do for me because I'm trying to keep my biggest expense, which is my accommodations at $500 a month or lower. Multiply that out, that's 4 months that I can stay somewhere. $2,000 pays 4 months of accommodations for me, right? So imagine if I can get a place for $300 a month. Pay my own utilities, be smart, turn off lights, y'all. Y'all remember when your mama said, hey, you turn off them lights and you're glad daddy ain't know, whatever, all this stuff, right? That stuff comes in handy. Utilize to turn that water off. Stop leaving lights on. Close the windows if you run in the air. And if it's a breeze out, turn that air off and open up them windows. You know what I'm saying? All of those things, those are minuscule sacrifices that we make so that we have the future that we want, right? Because we all at some point got to work and put some money and put some time in. But while you're doing that, don't forget to pay yourself first, okay? All right, y'all. So if you can mark your calendars for next Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right back here on my YouTube channel, Where's Ali, to see where I am. I'm still be here. And next week, I'm moving on to another country. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to be doing part 2 to beliefs that could be holding you back from living the dream that you say you want. Every time I change the end of the title every time. And I'm going to repeat my motto for the day is, it is okay to be afraid to let go of the things that no longer serve you as long as you do not get stuck in that fear. Thank you guys for tuning in, for chatting with me, for uh, reminding me that these are things that I need to continue to strive for and continue to share, because even in my limited knowledge, my mistakes can help somebody, right? Your mistakes can help somebody. Your successes can help somebody. And so I want to be able to do that. So if this is helpful, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe, like, share with other people, and I will see you guys around. Make sure you stay tuned for upcoming travel. I think I'm going to do another like travel, show y'all some stuff, and then comment on some traveling stuff that I've seen around here. Since I've kind of done a few things in a few places, and so I want to be able to share some of that stuff with you guys. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll check back with y'all later. Y'all know the drill. Toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease.